welcome to the fourth in the series of talks on the 5 people who influenced me. Mrs. Norma Simmonds, 8th October 1941 to 7th October 2023, the day before what would have been her 82nd birthday. As I sit facing the blank sheet of paper, I sense this would be by far the hardest to write and eventually read aloud. How on earth does one compress 60 years of togetherness into an article that will perhaps challenge and perhaps console those who hear it? It's easy to recite the main fact. We met on a train at Paddington Station, going to work as volunteers at a beach mission in Cornwall. We got married in 1968, 7 weeks after the death of Norma's mother from cancer. There were miscarriages, so the physical and emotional effects of these had to be attended to. Eventually, a daughter arrived who was much loved. Then we were introduced to a little girl who might offer something of a challenge. She is now one of the kindest and happiest people I know, thanks largely to Norma's guidance. More recently, I watched my wife die in hospital after being in a coma for several days. This leaves out the important things. We were both teachers, so the various homes we lived in were always full of paper and the other clutter that profession creates. She had the knack of keeping things reasonably tidy. She always tried to cram as much as possible into the timetable, so we were sometimes late. She knew the importance of planning ahead. This last Christmas gave some of us the chance to enjoy a pudding she purchased a few years earlier. When computers came along, she seized upon one and vanished into the study for several hours, while recording every aspect of our lives together. People said we were a team. This was clearly shown once a month when it was her turn to provide a hot meal for the homeless people which our church ministers to. The morning was spent in creating a vast stew as Roma filled the kitchen. Then we set off. I drove, Pippa opened the church doors, and the casserole arrived. Her Christian faith, of course, sustained her in all this. Whether it was teaching in Sunday school, helping in a holiday club, or teaching GCSE in a comprehensive school, things were done conscientiously and effectively. It was a life lived largely for other people. The last thing I learnt from her was not learnt till after her death. Grief is the price we pay for love. How true that is.